Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of How I Doubled, the show where we take a look at businesses that have doubled their turnover, but today, something very special. We're going to take a look at a business that has increased its turnover by 10 times in the last 4 years. Welcome, Brendon Granger from Technology for Hotels. How are you?
Thanks, Pete. Good. Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you on board today. So your business, for the viewers at home so they understand, we're looking at a business which now generates in excess of $1 million a year in turnover. Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
And let's take the clock back 4 years. 4 years ago, it was a business that was doing around about 100K.
About $100,000, that's right.
Did you at that stage, before we get into things, did you at that stage think that, you know, this is where I want to be in 4 years' time, a nice, stable $1 million a year turnover business?
I suppose I was looking for something. When I started my business, which is 10 years ago, I didn't really have a clear focus, and I did a number of things. And I attended an event in 2010 which changed my focus dramatically, and it provided me with that clarity that I needed, I think, and that is to focus on an industry that I love, which is the hotel industry. It's been my life, and I've now turned that into a successful business.
Okay, so let's talk about exactly what Technology for Hotels is.
Okay.
What do you actually do?
We provide high-end technology for 4 and 5 star hotels, and it's all about making the guest stay that much better. So to give you an example, one of the products we have is a connectivity panel or a media hub. It allows the guest to plug in their laptop or their tablet or their USB hard drive and watch their own content on the TV. So they could watch movies, they could play games, they could stream content from Netflix to the TV.
I think a lot of us have been frustrated in the past going into hotels and not having those sorts of luxuries, and that certainly comes down to user experience. Was it something that you noticed when you worked within the industry in the past, or was it something as a hotel guest you noticed?
In my last employed role, I was working for a company that put guest internet into hotels. So we were pretty much pioneers in that industry, and it was an Australian company, one of the first and one of the largest in the world now. Whilst working there, I noticed the changes in guest demands. You know, guests were now bringing along devices that needed to be connected. And when I set up my own business, I thought, well, there's an opportunity to work with hotels to help them meet that guest need. And hence Technology for Hotels was born. So
you provide the technology for the hotels, and you talked about the hub. What other products do you provide?
Another product that, one of our key products is a range of clock radios that are designed specific for the hotel industry. So they've got Bluetooth, of course, and things like that. But some of the specifics, or one of the key things, to give an example, is a single day alarm. So when a guest sets a 4 a.m. wake up call and they turn it off, it's off. The next person who checks in the room on a Friday night who wants to leisurely sleep in doesn't get woken up by that alarm. And hotels love it, and of course the guests love it as well.
Well, I think we've all suffered from turning up at a hotel and having that surprise alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning when you just need that good night's sleep.
Definitely, I know I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the feedback on those sorts of products has been pretty good.
Very good. The hotels love them. There's other features like the alarm is easy to set. The instructions are on the top for the guest. You know, something that is, it's just unique. You know, a guest who stays in a hotel is only there for a short period of time. They need to know how to set the alarm quickly and easily. They don't need, they don't want to spend 5 minutes trying to set a wake-up call.
And you mentioned that you've worked in the hotel industry before, but you've also been away from the hotel industry. So can you give us a little bit of a timeline with regards to when you were in the hotel industry, what happened in that medium term, and how Technology for Hotels came about?
Sure. I mean, my background is hotels. I did a Bachelor of Business with a major in hotel management. I worked in 5-star hotels for a number of years. I spent time in consulting, feasibility and technology consulting. And then I worked for a company that provided hotel computer systems. I ran that company. And then I worked for the guest internet company. Then I went out on my own. At that time, I knew I wanted to work for myself, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I did a number of different things. They were quite varied. I was always drawn back to the hotel industry, and so it was always something that was there, but it wasn't the key focus. So I started my business in 2005, and as I said, when I went to that event in 2010, that's what changed everything for me. That gave me the clarity and the focus that I needed, and I decided then and there that everything I learnt, I was going to put towards that single core business, which was technology for hotels. And in fact, the name technology for hotels didn't exist until late in 2010. And once again, it was as a result of that event. It's like, well, hang on a second. The name of your business doesn't really need to be the proprietary limited company that you've created.
So in effect, that's something that's a tip for other businesses out there. You don't need to be called, Brendon Granger Incorporated, because it doesn't actually tell anyone what you do.
Exactly. Our parent company's Business Development Asia Pacific, because when I started it, we were helping overseas companies bring their products to Australia and helping Australian companies take their products overseas. But after working with hotels for a little while, actually my very first general manager in hotels, who's now a CEO of a hotel company, said to me, "Brendon, I don't understand your business name." And I said, "You're quite right." He said, "What do you do?" And it's like, "Well, we sort of do technology for hotels." And then that's it. That's our name.
And you've certainly grown as well. I'm looking at my list here. We're talking about Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, the Maldives, New Zealand, of course, Australia, where you're based. It's starting to spread its wings globally.
It is. With some of the software that we now work for as an agent, we have clients in those countries.
Fantastic. So I'm looking forward to getting some snippets of that global story as we go along today. Now, I did notice there's one omission from our list of 5 in these episodes. We talk about the 5 key things that have contributed to the business doubling, or in this case, increasing its turnover tenfold. One thing that's missing is products. I don't see it on my list, and yet we've already talked about it. Why would you not consider products specifically as one of those 5 key things?
You're right, Pete. It is important, but I think when we get to talk about the other 5, I think they are more important than the product. The product, you've got to have the right product, but if you don't have the focus, the right people, and the systems in place, then it doesn't really matter how good the product actually is.
So it's great to talk about it in a perspective of we're going through the top 5. They're not the only 5, but they are indeed the top 5.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so let's get on to point number 1, which we've already touched on a number of times, and that's focus.
Yep.
And you said that all came about back in 2010. Tell us what exactly happened. Why weren't you focused previously, and what did it change?
Prior to 2010, I had about 3 different businesses, and they were in completely different markets. Things were going pretty well. There wasn't a lot happening on the hotel side of the business, but it's the passion. I mean, I've always had a passion for that industry. So I've always been, whilst I've worked outside of it, I've always been drawn into it within a very short period of time. So what I learned at this event, I decided to put into practice, using that focus. So we, literally said, okay, the niche that we're going to focus on is 4- and 5-star hotels. We're going to focus on providing technology for the guests in the guest room. That technology, its main role is to enhance the guest experience. What we've then done is we've developed strong relationships with our customers, and when we've grown our product portfolio, we've done it to meet the needs. So we've asked them, what do you guys want? And we've actually gone and found products to meet those needs.
So it's not just focus with respect to your particular focus, it's product focus, but it's also focusing on your customer to figure out exactly what their needs are as well. So it's multifaceted in that sense.
Good point. I suppose when I was talking focus, I was thinking about focusing on a particular industry, focusing on a range of products for the same customers, rather than before. What we were doing is, we were working with in the mining industry. We had a couple of products there. It's very hard to be all things to all people. So we've decided that we will be the best at delivering guest room technology to 4 and 5 star hotels.
So as a $100,000 a year business, you were providing a technology to a range of industries, and it sounds like it was almost a case of, look, wherever the money's coming from, we'll take the income.
Pretty much, you're right. Yep.
And that's something that we see more and more on this show with the guests that we have. And then they say, you know what? It's actually the exact opposite. Instead of trying to look for all these opportunities, we need to focus. And you went to not just hotels, but you went to just 4 and 5.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.